Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, all around the world. Hello, how have you all been today? We're here at the Red Room and we're talking about last week's action and events, things that have happened. Mina, I'm joined with you today. How have you been?
I'm good.
I don't know what to do
okay.
today.
I'm okay, but I said to you I didn't have much to say about the weekend. I
Yeah,
don't really want to talk about it,
yeah,
but
I know.
I remember like on Sunday, bro, the people that were messaging me, calling me,
Yeah,
everything, people I hadn't heard from in ages. And I remember one of my friends called me to basically laugh. They're an Arsenal fan. And I said, you know what? I got clothes on my back. I got a roof over my
blessings,
head. I'm okay.
blessings.
I'm good. We lost 7-0, but I'm okay. What I couldn't handle though was just, my family and that just talking smack like
Yeah,
that. I think that's the hardest thing. Like social media, I can close it. I can turn my phone off. But when you're around your family,
it's not. You're not
you
getting
you
away.
can't hide away
You're not
from
getting
that.
away from it.
Yeah,
They're
you
gonna
can't hide
grill
away
you.
from
It's
that.
gonna be personal things that other people don't even know about you.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, that's what was happening to me all week. It's not been nice. It's not been good. It's been a difficult one for me. But I've kind of moved past it now.
Yeah,
My phone was lighting up like a Christmas tree all game, especially when it hit 3 and 4. But I'm over it now. The manager said the right things, and I'm happy. That it happened in this way. Weirdly enough, I've been saying it.
for me, that's a wild statement. I can't lie. To say that you're happy that it happened, I would take 7-0 or not even 7-0 from any other club because I wouldn't. But
Yeah,
when it's
yeah.
from your
The
biggest
rival.
rivals,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of your biggest rivals, for me that stings a lot better. So I can never be like, oh, I'm happy it happened because we can learn from it. I'm not happy it happened.
Do you know what?
1-0, I would have been mad.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know why I'm happy it happened this way? It was humbling. We needed the humbling and the precedent that Ten Hag sets by playing in this manner. It bodes well for the standard that we want to be. We wanted to be attacking. We wanted to take risks. And Ten Hag said before the game started pre-match that we love and we thrive in these moments. It clearly evidence shows that we don't.
I don't know, man. I
But
can't I can't say that I'm because we played attacking. Like we lost because we were trying to attack. I,
well, I'm
I, I
not.
can't be like that's okay because that's not. It's not.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm not looking in the context though of the 90 minutes. I'm looking at the context of the whole season, and the broadened horizons of when you go to Anfield. This is the mentality that we want to have. And even though our players, for a multitude of reasons, I think that the fact that we played so many games adds to it. That the 12th man or 13th man at times that it felt like the players were playing under at Anfield. Those are also reasons why we capitulate.
But also, like, it's not the first time that we've played at Anfield
Yeah,
in that scenario in terms of you know what you're getting when you go to Anfield.
yeah,
One of the loudest stadiums.
yeah.
Biggest, they've got the 12th man, like you said, maybe even the 13th man. That's how much of them they are
The
and how
energy.
loud they are.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is for some of these players, this is not their first experience going to Anfield.
Yeah.
So they know what to expect.
Yes.
They know the hostile environment that you will get, especially as Manchester United. You could be another club, but the welcoming that Manchester United get at Anfield is 10 times different
Yeah.
to other people. So I can't be like, oh, yeah, the environment was a part of it and, the stadium, because a lot of these players were here last season
Yeah.
and the season before. So they know what they're getting themselves into when they're going to Anfield. For me, the biggest part, I think, is just they crumbled. I think they just genuinely crumbled. I think Ten Hag had given instructions and tactics, and we're going to talk about this a bit later when we talk about how United set up away. But I feel like this season, whenever we go away, we just crumble.
Yeah.
I think the only game I can really remember to me that we've actually won was the Fulham game, and that was a Garnacho winner in the last minute.
Last minutes, yeah.
That's last minute. Everywhere else we go, we draw or we lose and we take a beating. We concede stupid numbers of goals.
And I understand that you're saying obviously there's previous players that have played, in these big fixtures, but like you said, this is the hardest fixture for a Manchester United player away from home at Anfield. That's the hardest fixture for a Man United player.
But it's not new to them.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not. It's not new to a lot of the Casemiro. Okay, cool.
New.
Anthony, cool.
Yeah, Martinez.
Martinez, okay, cool. Dallo was there last
Yeah,
season.
oh,
Shaw was there last season.
Shocking.
David De Gea was there last
Yeah,
season. Fred
embarrassing.
was there last season.
very embarrassing.
Rashford there last season.
Yeah.
Bruno there last season. They know what Anfield's like.
Yeah.
Not even just Anfield. They know what it's like to play Liverpool because we held 5 at home last season.
That was
So
the
they
worst.
know that, like, for me, it's just, I feel like mentality, they just crumbled. I feel like, and United this season have shown some different glimpses in terms of when we go down, they're able to recover. And I've been impressed with that this season. But I feel like in this particular game, when they went down 1-0 and then they went down 2-0, I think that they just crumbled. I watched the goals back, and actually, let's start on a better note. Let's talk about West Ham. We'll talk about the West Ham game, because that is an example of us coming back from being 1-0 down. Only difference was we were at home.
Do you know what? It's funny enough. We done the road trip on the way up, and I was kind of highlighting the fact that I'm expecting a kind of peculiar performance against the West Ham against West Ham. You know, I'd seen the massive highs of Newcastle, a massive demand play in Barcelona prior, you know, home and away. A lot of effort, you know, a lot of investment. The manager talks about investing game by game, and we put so much investment into those two games. I was expecting against West Ham a bit of a lull in performance. You know, you could see that against Newcastle on the weekend, and I just feel like, you know, we just didn't start very well against West Ham. It was really poor, and that first half wasn't brilliant. And we've always of late having a bad half. I think against Newcastle the first half wasn't brilliant.
We sometimes we set ourselves up. I feel like when we start this
Mountain to
first
climb.
half, we start the first half quite poorly, and we've seen it a lot throughout the Europa League group stages. A lot we saw it where we just can't seem to break the opposition down. We can't seem to get ourselves in the right headspace in the game. And for me, the West Ham game, it was an impressive comeback, but it was something that we should not have been in the first place. We shouldn't have been 1-0 down.
Was playing poorly in transitional moments. You know, Antonio had a lot of transitional moments, a couple one-on-ones where De Gea had to produce good saves to keep us in the game. But I don't know, it was a fantastic comeback. Great goal from Garnacho in the second half. Fred to kill the game as well. And I was happy that we won the game, but it highlighted the fact that, you know, good wasn't good enough. You know, there was still a lot more to work on, and then the Liverpool game happens. But was happy that we got through to the next round. But you could just see, you know, it was brewing. The Newcastle game wasn't particularly great either in terms of performance, 90-minute performance. And then the West Ham, again, the 90-minute performance wasn't brilliant. We had to bring on players to shore up the game and control the game. And then obviously Liverpool is Liverpool. It's so peculiar to me that
looking at that number on the screen, oh man, I'm traumatized by that number. And like, for example, I got a lot of United shirts. I got that number on the back. I'm gonna go home and peel it off. I can't see that number anymore. Right now, I'm looking at the stopwatch for the show that we're recording, and it says that number on it, because that's how long we've been recording for. I can't even look at the watch. I can't look at it. I can't. That number has fully traumatized me.
I'm still okay. I'm actually okay, because I'm just happy that the precedent is set. When we go away from home, we're gonna play offensive football. I know that we've mentioned obviously the away fixtures that, you know, this season, and you know, we've always tried against Chelsea. We should have won. We should have killed the game in the first half. You know, we have that first half. There were so many chances. Anthony on his right foot, you know, had a chance just before half time, you know, to bring us 2-1. I think it was, or 1-0 into the second half. Sorry. So I just feel like away from home we could be a lot better, but we're still showing the impetus to attack. And what the positive thing is as well is that it's a different style. Yes, they've been to Anfield.
There's no positives
There
from a
is.
7-0 loss. Maybe the viewers might agree with you, but I can't agree with that, because I don't think you can walk away from a 7-0 beating from your biggest rivals and be like, yeah, we were bad. Yeah, I think the whole team was poor.
Yeah, shocking.
But there's a positive that we could take away from it. You know, we tried to play attacking football. Nah, I'm not having that. I'm not having that.
The only reason why I would say it is because we finally now get to see players at this level. When Ten Hag wants you to play your front foot football, proactive football, he's demanding it now from you. You can't do it. And now we can pick up.
We saw that at the beginning when we held 4 against Brentford, or when we held 6 against City. Albeit it was the beginning of the season, so people were still learning under the manager and his expectations and tactics and all of that. Obviously, I get what you're saying. Now we're later into the season, so you know what the Ten Hag standard is. 7 months.
And think about the 2
into
months
his
of
reign.
work. Think about the 2 months of work with prior.
I don't think that, you know, we can lose to Brentford away, we can lose to City away, and then be like, oh, Liverpool is the lesson for us. No, the lesson was Brentford. Second game of the season, that should have been the lesson for everybody. That not just whatever manager it is, that is not the standard of football that you expect at this football club. And one thing that kind of annoys me is that some of these players were here last season
Mm.
when, to me, that was like one of the worst seasons as a United fan. I think
There's a way to lose. There's a way to lose.
Like if we went out there today on Sunday, like we were talking about it before we recorded this, that if we had lost 1-0 or 2-0, I would be like, there's positives to take away from it, because I'm sure there would have been some positives, but there is no positive to conceding 6 goals in one half. There is no positive. There is no positive when it's like ping pong. The ball is like ping pong, just bouncing off of people's knees and legs and
for the second
all of
goal,
that. Like I think it was 2 goals. It was one goal where Casemiro was on the floor and it was just bouncing off his leg. And there was one where it bounced off Luke Shaw. I can't even remember which goals it was. I just remember it was a goal.
It was shocking. It was shocking. Mina, it was completely shocking, and I understand that. I just like to see, you know, the positive in things, and there is, for me, it's clear as day. You know, Ten Hag has clearly set out a precedent, rules and principles, and it doesn't matter who he plays against. We're so early in our process. Get it out the way now.
No, I agree.
You know,
with that.
and now he can see this player's not good enough, that player's not good enough. I'm demanding this level and this caliber of performance, and you couldn't reach the mark. You know, and you have to constitute in, you know, we've played 16 football matches in 2 months just prior to this. So much football demanding on again and again, big moments, emotional football matches, high intensity games, and now you've got another one. It's, you know, in such a short space of time, Mina, I just feel, you know, I'm glad that Ten Hag didn't retract from his principles. Yes, players have been to Anfield before, but they've been playing pragmatic football under Mourinho, extremely pragmatic. Mourinho didn't want to attack. You know, and yes, he understands the Premier League holistically better than Ten Hag, but Ten Hag saying, I want players 1 to 11 on that pitch to be this level. And when we go there, I want them to thrive in that fire of Anfield and deliver a performance with my rules and principles.
Let me ask you a question then. It's not on the script.
No, of course.
Are there any players that you think from that performance should be out of the door this summer?
Oh, yeah, David De Gea won. So, thank you. David De Gea won.
Guys, I wasn't setting you up to say that. I thought you would say like McTominay or something. I wasn't setting him up to say that, but I should have known that was going to come out of his mouth.
David De Gea won for sure. Uno, number 1. Whatever that is. Uno Maruno, one.
My guy said Uno Maruno.
1. He's number 1, definitely. I mean, it was shocking from so many players. I mean, you know, Casemiro was poor, but I don't think he should leave. So the question is, should he, Dalot, maybe? You know, defensively, we've seen last season him get absolutely ripped by Danjuma. And then, you know, the other day, 7-0, he was absolutely shocking the whole game. Luke Shaw, this is one of Luke Shaw's worst games. I
can say it was pretty much everybody's worst game. I think every single one of them had a horrible game.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. This is my agenda. While I'm point question 1, David De Gea, 100%, I would admit that. You know, but we still need.
I need to clip that for future reference. When you say that you ain't got an agenda, this is him.
I'll never say that.
This ain't the Red Room. This is a therapy session, and Marcel is admitting that he has a De Gea agenda.
There's nothing wrong with the word agenda, guys. Everybody has agendas and everything in life. And I would encourage everybody to have agendas. That's how the work goes round. We need things to list and have a priority of. And my priority, I think, within the team is the goalkeeper. You know, but David De Gea was shocking. You know, there was, you know, we're talking about leaders. Ten Hag mentioned, you know, a batch of players being in that cohort of leaders, and David De Gea was in one.
He was one.
He was part of it.
He was one of them.
And he didn't show it. You know, there was no leadership at all. And he was part of that.
I think it was like 2 of the goals. The one where it bounced off Luke Shaw's leg, and then I think it dropped to Elliot or someone. De Gea was shouting at him. He was screaming at Luke Shaw after that goal.
But there was another one where he moved out of position. He got chipped right in front of him. You know, wasn't making himself big enough. Then gets nutmegged for the 7th goal right in front of him. It was really poor. It was really poor. We just got killed on transition. I can't blame just David De Gea though. That would be ludicrous to say all of it was like, David De Gea's fault.
It's not. Even like the tactics, I feel like Klopp kind of read Ten Hag quite well in terms of how he was going to set up, because it's been quite similar to how we've set up against Arsenal away. It's been quite similar to how we tried to set up against Brentford and City away, where it's literally going man for man. And so once the fullback pushes up, that leaves either the winger or the opposition's fullback free. It leaves one of them free because if Anthony is pressing one of the centre backs, the striker's pressing one of the centre backs, or the goalkeeper, the fullback has to push up.
Yeah.
Martinez and Varane, I think they're instructed not to push up as well, to kind of play man for man, and as a result, opens up so much space, and that's how Gakpo scored the first goal.
Yeah.
And it's kind of similar to the goals that we conceded against City earlier in the season. So I feel like we can go on to talk about our United's away record, because I mentioned this yesterday, 2 days ago. Our away record this season, the number of goals we've conceded, firstly, is abysmal.
Yeah.
Not just that. I think we've beaten Fulham away, but we've drawn with Palace. We've drawn with Leeds.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Chelsea.
Chelsea. We drew with Chelsea.
Lost to City.
Lost to City. Lost to Brentford.
Arsenal, unfortunately, which was very
we lost
close.
to Arsenal.
Very close
and
game.
if you just look at the goals that we've conceded, seven at Anfield, 6 at the Etihad, 4 in Brentford, 3 at Arsenal. That is poor.
Yeah. Do you think that we are, we are nervous, we're spineless under pressure away from home, or
I won't say spineless. I genuinely feel like, and I don't want to say it's a mentality thing, but I feel like the players are just not. They don't believe in themselves the way that the manager believes in them.
Yes.
And the way that I see it, and just generally in life.
Yeah.
When I have goals and aspirations, like, I've got a great support system around me who believe in me, and that makes me believe in myself.
Facts.
But with these players, I feel like they see a manager that believes in them, but they don't believe in themselves. So when we go to an away fixture, it's like they're going into it thinking we're already the underdogs.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna get like stuff handed to us today. Especially early in the season, I feel like as time has progressed in the season, we held less beatings away, and it's been draws, frustrating draws. And it's always games that we feel like we could win. Palace, for example, that last minute equaliser that we conceded, we felt like we should have won the game and we should have locked the game off. Chelsea, early way after the City beating, mentality kind of changed, and we felt like we could have won that game. But I think tactically Ten Hag set up for us to win.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, with Liverpool's the Liverpool fixture, is like, how did we set up like that against Liverpool? Yes, they are below us in the league. They haven't had the best season, but they are still a killer team.
Yeah.
Like, I think and I said prior to going into the game that the game would be won in the midfield, but the game was won all over the pitch. They beat us in every third of the pitch, because I generally thought we had the better midfield that could dominate the game.
Like you said, we set up to win games. I love that about Ten Hag. No matter where it is, home and away, he wants to win the football match. And like you said, Klopp is tactically, outwitted us. It's like he played a 4-2-2. The starting shape was the 4-3-3, but then Gakpo comes in as an extra body in the midfield area and on transition, which is why I feel like it's a little bit of tied legs in there as well, and the occasion that you have to add that into why it's 7-0 when they just lost their head. Because yes, they still tried to stick to Ten Hag's principles, pressing high man-for-man system. They started to give up on it. But, that transitional phase, Liverpool are so good at, especially at home, breaking away, getting players through the lines quickly, systematically and fast, delivering the ball quickly as possible. They were just so killer, and we didn't have the legs and the body to keep up with that. The first 30 minutes or so, man, I think we were really good.
And I think, and even in the first half,
Yeah.
pretty much, I feel like what we lacked again was showcased in that game. And even in like the Europa League group stages, we lacked it. So many times we've lacked it. It's clinical finishing.
Yeah.
Finishing your plate, whatever's on your plate, finishing your food, whatever the streets say.
Finishing the dinner.
Yeah, finishing your plate, because we need, and I think this further proves that we are still a few players away from really competing in the league, which we'll come to later on in the episode. But I think there was a few chances where if someone just makes the right pass, the right decision, it could lead to an opportunity, it could lead to a goal scoring threat. But so many times this season, and we saw it on the weekend, and I've seen it, so I can literally against Ammonia, against Real Sociedad, when we were trying to score more than one goal in the last fixture of the Europa League. There's so many times where if someone just makes the right pass and that creates an opportunity, bam, it could be finished. But we lacked that, and we lacked it on the weekend. We lack it whenever we're away for some reason. For some reason, when we're at home, we can create chances, we can finish the chances. But then when we're away, it's like, we forget, like, the people have forgotten to wear their shooting boots.
I think this is what for me is part of the humbling. You know, for me now, and I'll ask you a question regarding it later on in the show. But for me now, it's definitely we've definitely been humbled. You know, winning the league, I don't think is we're not there yet now, and I think this is a massive pointer to it. Like we've been mentioning, that away form, the best teams in the league right now, when we go away there, you have to pick up points or draws. You know, that's why I think the likes of Ole and Jose would be so pragmatic. You know, with the squad that they had at those times, but Ten Hag is doing the right thing for me still. You know, we must believe in him. Seeing nonsense about Ten Hag out and all these kind of things, I just don't want to even hear it or be around it.
Anyway, yeah, but saying Ten Hag out to
Yeah,
me is wild
it's ridiculous. It's
because
ridiculous.
we're third in the league
Exactly.
at the moment, comfortably competing for top four, which
Yep.
will secure us Champions League. One trophy in the bag, still in two other competitions. We still have the opportunity to make a decent season out of what has been sometimes a difficult watch.
Yeah.
But I can say that at this point, up until now, what, 6 months into the season, is yes, it's been a roller coaster of a ride, but it's been an enjoyable roller coaster because
Exactly.
I've started to enjoy to watch Manchester
Oh,
United again. I look forward to, okay, even though we're playing 3 times a week, I'm looking forward to watching us play because I'm like, you know what, I feel like we can win. Last season, oh man, you
yeah.
had to drag me to the sofa
Yeah,
just
yeah,
to
yeah.
turn on Sky Sports and be like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah,
Here we go again.
yeah. You're
And this
right.
is just in 7 months. One thing that I've definitely know, like I'm definitely not Ten Hag out. Anyone
Mm,
saying that to me is wild because I don't think you can turn on the manager that has turned around our season like this with the resources that he's had, the issues that he's had, and the things that are out of his capacity. You know, he's probably looking ahead right now. To me, Ten Hag gives me the impression he's very much like, oh, the next game is my priority. He ain't thinking to, Fulham FA Cup game that we've got in a couple of weeks. He ain't thinking that. For him, the next game, Betis, then it's that game. He's probably not even thinking too far ahead at the transfer window
mm,
because it's one of them ones where we don't even know what's happening with the ownership. So that's
mm.
another issue that he's facing where he can't plan for the summer transfer window because he
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
doesn't know what's happening, even though news is saying like things are going to start to speed up in the next month or so. But anyone that says to me, Ten Hag out, I can't take them serious
Yeah.
because even if you sack Ten Hag, who are you going to get?
Yeah.
Are you get are we going to go and pinch Potter from Chelsea?
You don't want him.
You
You
do
don't want him.
you want flipping Hogwarts from Chelsea? What are we gonna do? Try and bribe Zidane to come to United? What are we gonna do? Wait for Conte to leave Spurs and try and get him? No,
Nah.
what the hell? Ten Hag for me is building something that you can believe in. You can see the vision,
Mm,
and I know that he's still a few resources away from making the team what he wants it to be and what it can be.
yeah.
So you just have to be patient. We've
Yeah.
been patient for the last 8 years.
Yes.
You can't just be a bit more patient with Ten Hag. I know it took us 4 managers also to get here, but just be patient.
Yep. 100% agree with you. I think he's still in his building phase and his building process. I think we've got a massive issue with away form right now, but we need to
Definitely.
change that. And I think that will come within time. The big point now is, especially if it's looking at it from this season, we've got Newcastle away still.
Yeah.
We've got Spurs away still, and those are maybe our two most important games for the rest of the season to see where we lie in terms of keeping in that top four hunt. I think that's got to be our bracket right now, is to get that top four wrapped up, and
I
those
think our
two
last
games are
game of the
important games.
season is Fulham at home. We've got Villa at home a few weeks. Quite a few of our games towards the end of the season is at home,
Yeah,
so that's a bit reassuring to
yeah.
me. Um,
Well, the men's are doing well, but
the
the
women,
women,
the women's team, I think obviously is always overshadowed by the
yes,
men's team, but I
yeah,
think it's only right if we're talking about United to talk about
of course.
United's real title race. That's what it says, the real title race, because that's what it is. I know a lot of the women teams fans don't want to call it a title race,
Oh,
but United are currently what, first? They're first
yeah,
in
they're
the
first.
WSL, 4 points
Two,
clear
they got
of
2 games
Chelsea.
in hand over Chelsea.
Chelsea got 2 games in hand.
Chelsea got 2 games in
Chelsea
hand.
got 2 games in hand, and they're in second place.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, the next fixture is Manchester United versus Chelsea. So that
Mm.
will actually be I wouldn't say it's the title deciding game, but it's going to definitely spice up the title race. Alicia Russo. So on the weekend, United women before the Liverpool beat Leicester 5-1,
Yeah,
which
yeah, I
put me
saw
in a
that,
good mood. It put me in a good mood on
Yeah, yeah.
Sunday. Alicia Russo scored the first hat-trick for Manchester United in the WSL.
She could have scored 4, by the way.
She actually could
could
have
have scored
scored.
4.
To me, she could have scored more than 4.
Yeah.
She definitely could have scored
She's
more than
good,
4.
man.
But this is talking about the ownership thing is it's impacting the women's team.
Yeah.
Because Alicia Russo is
She
out
needs to
of
sign a
contract.
contract,
She's
yeah.
out of contract this
She needs to
summer.
sign.
She's one of the best in the league right now. Ona Battle is out of contract this summer. She's the best fullback to me. I'm not being biased, but she is one of the best fullbacks in the league.
Yeah.
She's actually, I think, like 3rd in assists
Yeah.
for a fullback in the
Top
league,
level.
and she's out of contract. And in the January window, Arsenal tried to poach Alicia Russo. They offered a record signing fee for her, which was just above 500k.
Wow.
And United declined it.
They have to.
I
She's
think it was like the
fire.
second to last day of the transfer window as well, because they've got their striker Beth Mead out with a ACL injury. So the whole ownership thing, debacle, if you want to call it that, is not only probably impacting the men's team, but it's definitely impacting the women's team, because there's uncertainty around players' futures, and this is not just squad players; these are important players.
Yeah.
United's goal, I definitely don't think coming into the season under Skinner, the manager, I don't think our goal was to win the title, but our goal was to qualify for Champions League.
Yeah.
That's been our goal, and I think that will continue to be the goal for the rest of the season. That's why United fans don't want to say it's a title race. It's a title race because Chelsea, two games in hand. We have to go to Kingsmeadow this Sunday and try get a result there. What's reassuring to me is that we got a result against Arsenal at the Emirates earlier in the season. So it's definitely possible. But Chelsea are a great team. They just got beat by Arsenal actually on the weekend in the Conti Cup final. So if Arsenal can beat them and we beat Arsenal, do the maths. We can beat Chelsea.
You can beat them.
We can beat Chelsea if we set
They're
up
the best
right.
team. They're the best team in the league. They're really good, man.
But one thing that is just for me, like an issue with the women's team is that, like with the ownership and everything, is that financially United is the women's team is a self-sustained club, similar to the men's team. They generate revenue that can keep the club going to a certain level. I think in their year-end results for the last financial year, they reported a profit, which is good. But they had about 5 million owed by the parent company, which is the owners of the club, owed them money, and stuff like that is impacting their ability to extend contracts and offer contract extensions, like Russo, because Russo, to be honest, is probably looking for a big check. And in women's football, I think the highest paid in the WSL, I think, is Sam Kerr. I think she's on the
She's a baller.
She's on about she's a big baller. I seen her at Stamford Bridge one day, and I was amazed.
She's good.
And I think she's on around like 430 for the year. Obviously, men make that in a week or two. And I'm not comparing, by the way, I'm not comparing like how much men and women make, but I'm just saying the difference that money owed to the women's team can make to their ability to extend contracts of not just Alicia Russo and Ona, but also Mary Earps, our goalkeeper. She's got a 12-month contract, a 12-month extension to be triggered on her contract, which means she'll be out of contract next summer. She's England's #1. She just won the first ever award, not just for Manchester United women, but for Manchester United as a whole. She's the only Manchester United player ever to win the best FIFA goalkeeper award ever. Like no one's ever won it for Manchester United. Van der Sar never won it.
That's massive.
To be honest, it never existed when Van der Sar was playing. But in the last 10 years, it's existed, and nobody has ever won it before, and she's won it.
David De Gea.
David De Gea, yep. Agendas have to agenda. Agendas have to agenda. But my point is that she's going to be out of contract next summer. She's just turned 30. She's still got a number of years in her, and
definitely as a keeper,
it's restricting the team from tying down people, and also hopefully going into the summer transfer window to sign people. If we get Champions League football, we're coming up against the likes of PSG, Lyon, Barcelona, the big dogs, the big dogs of women football. So Lyon's we have to make sure our team is stacked. And right now, the issue is they need the backing. And to continue to sustain this run that we have in the WSL title race, I'm hoping that the manager will get the backing, but also the players, in terms of paying people what what they're, now I won't
What
say
they
owed, but what they deserve,
what they're
what they're
worth.
worth, what
Russo's
they're valued.
definitely needs a.
If we lose Russo, it's a big loss.
She's
It's a big
so
loss.
talented. I mean, how she plays and the style of game that she has in terms of holding up the ball, scoring goals, it's Fox in the box, opportunity. Like the goals that I was seeing, the last couple of weeks, last few
Yeah,
weeks.
they beat Leicester
Yeah,
5-1,
and then they won last
they
week
beat Durham 5-0
5-0. Yeah,
in the FA Cup, which is another good thing because now they're through to the quarterfinals of
yeah.
the FA Cup. They're, I think, one step away from Wembley. I think the semis and the final will be played at Wembley, so they're one step away from that. It's been some time since the women's
Chance for
team.
silverware because I think a few years back we weren't even in the we weren't even
We
in the
weren't
WF. We was in
because
the championship.
because obviously the women's
It's
team were
developed very
dissolved.
fast.
No, the women's team was dissolved by the Glazers,
Wow.
and then they brought it back a couple of years
Yeah, I
ago.
was about to say we
And
was in the
some of the
championship.
best players
Left.
that started off in the inaugural Manchester United team under the Glazers was Lauren James. Lauren James was one of them. She's now balling out at Chelsea, and I'm just thinking, what if? Like, even though she's at a rival team, I still like her because
Yeah.
she started out Manchester United. There's multiple players like that who started out in the inaugural United team under the Glazers, but again, the Glazers was the people that dismantled the women's team, and then decided to bring them back.
Chance to win the league. Chance to win the league. Are we calling it now? I mean,
It's a title
Chelsea.
race.
I
To me,
know.
it's a title race.
Yeah.
When you're 4 points clear, yeah, okay, your opposition has 2 points in 2 games in hand, but one of them games is against you.
Yeah.
So really, the ball
6 pointer.
is in our court. For this Sunday, I'll be going to the game, so I'm going to try bring some coverage to United View, and hopefully that's what I'm calling it, United's real title race, because really and truly, this is the title race that we should be getting behind. Is
Yeah.
the WSL
Yeah.
title race. So it's a big week for Manchester United, not just for the women's, but also for the men's, because we got Real Betis tomorrow, and then we've got Southampton on Sunday. Two home fixtures.
Yeah, 2 home fixtures, back into our comforts, back into our comfort zone, I guess. We were just talking about the away form earlier, and now the home form, 2 home games. We have to absolutely. Ten Hag, I think, would have been drilling these guys. We have to absolutely smash Real Betis. That's the only way. We have to smash Real Betis and let them know, it's 5-1, 4-1, 5-6 goals. It's the only, they have to respond. I think the likes of, Bruno, he was shocking, giving away the ball. We're talking about transitional moments, giving away the ball so much, conceding
The
so many
witch hunt
transitional
though on
moments.
Bruno is just
Was shocking,
is
yeah.
just horrible. Like,
Yeah.
as a pundit, you can't lie about players live on air
Yeah.
because that will send a witch hunt, and that's exactly what it did.
Yeah.
I saw the comments after the game that it was reported that he was asking to come off, and the fact that he had to come out and basically tell a reporter to clarify that he wasn't asking to come off. To me, that's sad.
Yeah.
Because he's probably thinking, well, yeah, things could get lost in communication and that, but yeah, I think the witch hunt with Bruno is just horrible, because every time we lose, most of the time when we do lose, and when it's a poor team performance, he's always like the number one criticism.
He's one of the best players.
And this is a guy that's played over what 4,000 minutes this season.
The availability is the best ability. He's always available. He's one of the hardest workers in the team. He's one of the best pressers in the team. So consistent with his performances. Yes, up and down in the game and loses opportunities, but creates so many. He's trying to take risks for your team, and that's the kind of thing that he's always doing. It's horrible for obviously Bruno to be treated like this right now, but the big players, they deal with these kind of moments. I don't think it would faze him at all, and I'm looking forward to seeing him bounce back, being one of those players that really are able to improve from this.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen to the whole squad. Ten Hag's done that with under City. We had a little down phase, and then we went on to do well. I think it'll be the same again, and a big opportunity at home in front of the Old Trafford faithful, to kick on. Then you got Southampton. I remember the interview that Bruno had after the game against Southampton at home, saying that we're starting to build the passing patterns, the movement patterns are going well, and the team's starting to gel now, and we can see a vision. We have to have the right kind of
How do
attitude
you
in this
think
game.
he'll set up for the games?
As per normal, trying to control the midfield, trying to control the spaces, trying to set traps, trying to send the opposition into the 1v1 midfield area where we're so good at winning the ball back usually.
Yeah.
We have to utilise Rashford. I think Rashford's been a little bit off, and since that Barcelona game, had a massive collision with Araujo, or I think that's how you say his name.
Araujo.
Yeah, Araujo had a massive collision with him, which meant that obviously he was a bit, injury situation. But since then, hasn't really been the same. I think you'll get a rest period
Yeah, I
against.
mean, international break is coming up.
It's
I think
coming up
after
as
the
well.
next week, I think international break is. I don't even know what is it. Friendlies, international friendlies,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
or is it? I think it's the Euro qualifiers.
Man United is all I care about.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm not fond of international football, and I hate international break. For me,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
pointless. But I'm hoping that could be a rest option for Rashford. As much as I like him getting England call-ups, I think I'd rather him be at Carrington
yeah,
resting.
yeah. 100%. We need him for the next couple of weeks. You know, they,
April, we got big games as well. We got Chelsea,
it's a massive month
we
for
got
us.
Spurs,
It's a
we
massive
got
month for
FA
us.
Cup, we got big games.
It's a massive month for us, you know. These and it's always seeming like that for us, you know, this season. You know, it's season, you know, game by game, sorry, it's always looking like, well, this is massive for us.
Yeah.
You know, this is another opportunity for us to be consistent and to win and to play confident. And they were getting so much praise, you know, up until this point. So it's about them just, you know, switching their heads back on to focus and doing the right things against Real Betis. I just don't want to see, you know, nerves or anything. I think it's a blip. And I want to see it as that. It was a blip, and I'm expecting them to have their,
Big blip.
yeah,
Big,
their,
big blip.
yeah,
But it's a
massive
blip.
blip. And I'm expecting them to see, you know, I'm expecting us, sorry, to see good football.
What do you think of Veghorst? Because there's quite a bit of discourse going around on 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 him, and I think I'm starting to change my tune a little bit because I was very much for him to be a second or third option off the bench,
Mm,
but now I'm thinking we need shooters off the bench. We need cold-blooded
yeah,
strikers off
that,
the bench.
you're right. The humbling kind of recalibrates your standards a little bit. You know, do you really want him in and around the first
I
team
think Kenny
long term?
mentioned it on the full view this week when he said, Liverpool, when you looked at their bench attacking wise,
Yeah,
they had Firmino, they had Jota. On top of that, they already had Nunes on the pitch. They had Gakpo on the pitch. If we get a Harry Kane or Osherman, I know, sorry guys, I know you lot are sick of hearing about this Discord,
mm,
but if we get a proper number 9 next season, I want someone that not can equally lace their boots off the pitch, but can fill the gaps
yeah.
when they're not performing.
Tony Marshall, I
But
guess.
he just can't stay fit. Like
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me, is like is I'm a Martial fan. I'm a fan of everyone in the team, and I will support them as much as I can.
yeah,
But you looking at Martial this season, yet to play a 90. I can't even tell you how many games he's played.
yeah.
Maybe I genuinely don't know. And this season it's always been when he does play, it's just like you're watching like this because you're like, oh, don't
Hopefully,
get
yeah,
injured. Oh, don't
yeah,
get injured. Then you hear next game he hasn't been at training,
yeah.
and he's with the medical staff. And I think Ten Hag has been frustrated with it this season. He's probably not showing it, but when people ask about Martial in press conferences, he's just like, yeah, he's injured, he's out. That's
I
it,
don't even.
and you can't rely on that.
Yeah, you can't rely on that, and I don't even think I haven't even heard much about him at all. He's just been another one of those ghost players that you just don't see and hear of anymore in the side
It's
because
it's sad.
it
For me,
is really.
it's very sad because he's in this position, this injury position, because of a few seasons ago when he was playing through an injury.
Mm,
The difference, him and Rashford were in the same position. They were playing through injury for an entire season,
yeah,
taking injections and all of this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
We ended up losing the Europa League final that season. And I remember Rashford mentioning it in the press conference, the interview after the game when he said, I've been playing through injury all season for the manager. Rashford's just been lucky to turn it around. Martial, not so much.
yeah, yeah,
And I can't blame him because it's like if your body's giving up on you, you can't blame the player.
yeah,
Sometimes you can't control your body, and I feel like that's what's happening with him. It's like, for example, yeah, I know this is a stupid analogy, but it's like a car. I can be angry with my car for breaking down,
yeah,
but if I'm meant to meet you and I say to you, oh, Marcel, man, my car broke down, I'm running late. You can't be
mm,
mad at me
mm,
because it's not my fault, it's my car.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's the same with him.
I would
It's,
feel like
it's
it's an
not him,
excuse though.
it's his body.
I feel like it's an excuse
Nah,
though.
because imagine my car keeps breaking down and you know my car got a problem
Mm,
because one day I decided to go on the motorway with a flat tire and I
mm.
drove 200
I'd
miles
be like, change it, man,
all
now,
the way
please.
up north with a
Yeah,
flat tire and I completely messed up the alignment of my wheel and now my car's swerving like this and it's swerving like that. It's the same thing with Martial. I can't
yeah.
be mad at him because it's really out of his hands.
Mm,
It's his body, and when your body is breaking down on you, I can imagine his frustration. Obviously, he's still getting paid, so he's okay. He's probably cool, but mentally, you can
it's
imagine
the
the
worst.
mental
Yeah,
toll that it's having on him in terms of the fans are criticizing you, the
yeah,
press is criticizing you, your body's not doing what you're asking for it to do,
yeah,
and at that point, you're thinking, is he gonna have a season, a career where he retires at 30?
I hope not. I hope not. He's talented, but he's just not for Man United because of the injuries, the consistent amount of injuries, and it's been a lot of games. We're talking about here, 2 games in just in a space of like 3 or 4 days. The toll of games on these players. I'm surprised there hasn't been as many injuries as there has been. Ten Hag's been able to balance that kind of scenario this season and been able to put different players in different positions. How do you think we fare against Real Betis this game?
I feel like with our record against Spanish teams,
Yeah, with the bogey sides, yeah.
it's just Real Sociedad, obviously Barcelona away.
Barcelona was good, but
Real Betis
Seville,
just drew Seville,
Villarreal,
Villarreal. It's just we don't have good records
yeah,
against Spanish teams,
yeah.
and I feel like Real Betis just drew with Madrid
Madrid,
last
yeah.
weekend, and that's when Madrid just came back from thumping Liverpool, and then Liverpool thumped us. So clearly, there's something happening in the Matrix world.
Yes, there is.
I'm just hoping that we can't I'm just hoping the players come out and they just play. They just play for the shirt, play for the occasion. Don't let it get to your head. It's Europa League, and I'm hoping it's going to be a good performance from like minute one. And I say it all the time, like this season, the way that we start games sometimes, it's like we either start the first half good and then second half we start it bad, or we start the first half bad and we start the second half good. It's
Yeah.
never like starting both halves good. It's like we're playing for a half, but
Yeah.
sometimes they need to remember we're playing for the full 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So if we can come out and really just get a goal or get two at home, I think it will set us up well to go away to Real Betis. And also it will just be able for us to take a bounce back from the weekend, because I can imagine how we feel about losing 7-0, yeah. Imagine how the players feel turning up to training at 9 o'clock the next morning. They've been summoned to Carrington at 9 in the morning after they just held 7 in Anfield, and they probably got screamed at, they probably got shouted at. They were
20K
probably
run.
forced to be embarrassed by watching the footage back. Because for me, I watched the game, the highlights of the video of the goals, and I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
So imagine if you're playing in that game and the manager's it's like Bird Box, when they force you to open your eyes. There's a movie where they basically force you to open up your eyes like this, yeah? That's what Ten Hag was doing to them in Carrington, forcing them to open their eyes. The screen is here and they have to watch. Look at your embarrassment. Look at your behavior on the pitch. Imagine that. I'm hoping now on Thursday they come back and they bounce back from that and score a goal or two. It would be really nice for Weghorst to score. Like honestly, I just want him to score.
Yeah.
But for me, I just need to see that the occasion of the weekend didn't get to them.
Yeah.
Because it could go two ways. You could really this could be the start of our downfall of the season,
Do you
or
think so?
it can continue the progress that we're making. Yeah, because mentality wise, we've criticized this team last season, saying mentally they are not fit to play for this team. Even this season, there's been opportunities in games where we're like, mentality wise was still not there. There's reports coming out that Ten Hag has them working with the team psychologist that they hired this season, because he probably feels like mentally some people they just crumble. And I'm not talking about like mental health or anything. I'm just talking about
Performance.
them thinking that they're not good enough, or they can't beat their man, or they can't defend against someone, or they can't progress the ball, or they can't score, or they can't do this and they can't do that. It's a mentality thing.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And that's why I'm happy that Ten Hag deliberately almost put us in the fire away from home, a top level club. It's almost like he didn't fully respect Liverpool. They were in a bad moment. We're going for their heads. We want to dominate them.
But it backfired.
It backfired for sure, but it set a precedent. He now needs to find 11 footballers, or more than that, a squad that can handle those scenarios. That really are comfortable in those scenarios. And he says he knows his players, so I'm expecting against Real Betis a good performance. I'm expecting a captain's performance and a confident performance from the likes of Bruno. Casemiro was shocking against Liverpool. I've not seen Casemiro perform like that.
Everybody was bad. That's the thing. I can't single out players because I feel like everyone was bad. Like McTominay came on, he was pants. Fred, my guy, pants.
Fred the Red today.
All of them bad, but what do you now consider on the final point? Really, is like, what would you consider as a good season for United? And I want to hear the views of the viewers. So you guys, please put it in the comments or just interact. What do you guys consider a good season for United after that?
Well, a good season for Manchester United, and You know, and with the context of from now to the end of the season, that's what I would add on to that question. I would say from looking at the whole season, we've seen, you know, how well we've progressed, how well we've changed. I think you have to look at where we've come from to know where we're going. And we've come from saying at the beginning of this season, we just want good football, you know, and then we've seen good consistent football post World Cup, but now we're saying, you know, we moved the ballpark to we're going to win the league, some people, or we're definitely securing top four. But for me, I think a good season means maybe we've got a silverware. We've already picked up silverware now. I think another trophy and top four, one more, two trophies and top four for me, I think would be a fantastic season. I think that would constitute as a good season. Similar to yourself, I would like to know what other people think about that. What do you think is a good season for us? Considering where we're at right now, what do you think?
Coming into the season, yeah, I can't lie, for me, it was just top four. I
Yeah,
didn't care about a trophy. I thought maybe if we get somewhere far enough to win a trophy, I would believe. But for me, it was very much top four, especially after the two games at the beginning of the season where we
yeah,
lost. Now, halfway through the season, I think it's been more than 50% of the games played. Top four for me is we have to finish third or above. I think if we drop to fourth, that's not good because we've
mm,
dropped from the standard that we've pretty much been at this
the whole
season. We've
season.
got, and again, Kenny mentioned it on the full view. Liverpool are 7 points behind us, I
Yeah, they
think.
are. Yeah, 7
They are
points.
Spurs bottle jobs.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they are going to drop out of the top four eventually. I just think it's a matter. It's not about a matter of why. It's a matter of when.
When,
When
yeah, it's
it's
a
going
matter
to
of time.
happen.
Yeah,
And I feel like Liverpool will be that team to kind of climb up because I feel like they're building momentum. And if they lose to Real Madrid and they're knocked out of the Champions League, that will be their main focus. Top four. We will still be in the FA Cup. We will still be in
Europa League.
Europa League. We will be in the race for top four.
Yeah,
And I feel like we cannot let a team that has spent half of the season in eighth and ninth to build on their momentum after they've smacked us at home. That's basically what gave them the momentum
yeah, yeah,
to basically then be like, they're going to finish third. And I know you don't get an award for finishing third,
yeah,
but for me, finishing third is better than finishing fourth. Yes, you qualify for the same competition, but I just feel like it's just better
yeah.
if
It
we
is
finish third. I
exactly.
feel like, so for me, finishing third or solidifying that place in the top three is is the goal. I think another trophy, if we're lucky to. That's wishful thinking. I feel like the FA Cup is kind of set up for us to have an opportunity. We've been lucky to get home draws pretty much in all the rounds. Fulham will not be an easy team. They are a very impressive team this season in the Premier League. They've got a good manager. They've got good players. They got what Paulinho. They've got Mitrovic.
Solid side,
They've
man.
got some
Paulina's a really good CDM.
Paulinho, 20 million, less
Mm,
than 20. He was, I think it was 20 million euros.
yeah,
That's how
he's
much they
really
bought
good,
him
man.
for. He's a top player. And I feel like Fulham, the only thing that we have is that we're Manchester United, number one, number two, we're playing them at home.
Yeah.
So we got the 12th man, we've got the team at the Stretford End, So I think it's set up for us to get to the semis,
Yeah, it is.
hopefully. Obviously, the last time we were in the FA Cup final, we lost.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's something that we can think. But I'm not going to think far ahead to be like FA Cup and Europa
What
League,
one
but
would you
one
like
or
to
the
win the
two.
most? What trophy would you like to win the most? Out of the FA Cup or the Europa,
Mm,
which one would you prefer?
that's a good one. I would say FA Cup
FA Cup.
because it's a domestic title.
Yeah,
That's a domestic cup.
yeah.
Europa League is like Europe, but also I wouldn't mind the Europa League because I think the Europa League has been uh, Champions League 2.0 this season.
Yeah,
There's some big teams
they're
in there.
saying Arsenal in the final, you
So
know.
I
I'm
feel like
feeling Arsenal in the
there's
final.
quite a
Something,
few teams that are still like Ajax got knocked out in the round of 32, but there's still some good teams in Europa League. So if
yeah,
you are able to, if you said to me today, we knock out Barca, we knock out Betis, we get Juve, we
yeah.
knock them out, we get Arsenal, we beat them. Okay,
Serious.
cool, Europa League, I'll take it because we've
Mm-hmm.
beaten good clubs to
Facts.
get there.
Yep.
FA Cup, I know if we win the FA Cup, everybody's going to be like, oh, but you beat Reading and you beat West Ham and you beat this. But West Ham's a good team.
Yeah.
Fulham, yet to see the result of that, but they are a good team. So for me, a good season is not just what we achieve, but how we play for the rest of the season. I think that's a big part. If I can continue to see the team showing the Ten Hag way. I don't want to call it the Ten Hag way, but the Ten Hag way of football, the style that he wants to play. He's using a lot of these players, I think, some of these players as his test rabbits. because he knows that he's going to replace them soon with the players that he wants in those positions. So it's quite similar to before we brought Lisandro Martinez. In training, there was reports that Alex Telles was playing as a left centre back.
Yeah, he was pre-season as well.
Which was preparing the team for the arrival of Martinez as a left-footed centre back.
Really good tactic.
Before we got Anthony, we had Elanga playing in exactly what Anthony does right now as that winger, dropping back, supporting his fullback, hugging the touchline, that kind of stuff. That's how Elanga was playing. I feel like Ten Hag is, you're looking at these players now in some positions and thinking, yeah, I'm going to replace you, but I need you to play how I want my replacement to play so that I can see my vision. So if I can see that for the next, 3 months of football, I will be happy if I see that, we're making strides under the manager, whether it's big strides or small strides. If we're making strides, I'm happy with that.
Facts.
A trophy, we've got one already. Another one will definitely be nice. 2 will be even better.
Yeah, we need
But for me, it's very much like if I see the team performing how Ten Hag wants them to perform, the Ten Hag way, then that gives me even more optimism for the following season once, hopefully in the summer, we have a successful transfer window. But let us know what you guys think. If you guys think title race is still on, let us know. We didn't speak about it because I don't feel like we spoke about the real title race, which is the WSL one.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a need to speak about the Premier League title race because I think that we should just focus each game
by game,
as it comes. But let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you guys consider to be a good season for Manchester United now? Do you guys think it's 1 cup, 2 cup, 3 cup, or no more and just top 4? Make sure you guys smash the like button. Make sure you comment below. Let us know if you enjoyed this episode. You guys can now listen to the Red Room on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you want. So you don't have to always be watching on YouTube. If you're on the train to work,
listening,
if you're on an aeroplane, you're catching flights, if you're just walking down the street and you don't want to watch the video whilst you're walking, you can just plug it
listen
in.
to us.
Apple, Spotify, whichever streaming platform you use for your podcast, you can have a listen there. Make sure you guys like it there. And we'll see you guys again next week, Wednesday, for another episode of the Red Room. Hopefully it'll be 2 wins. Next predictions.
It needs to be. Yes.
Predictions.
Real Betis 5-1. I really feel like it's going to be a high goal scoring game. Honestly, I feel like the turnaround's here. The 7-0's out of my head. It's done. Southampton was a difficult game, the away fixture. But at home, Old Trafford, 3-1.
I'm going 2-1 Betis. I'm going 3-0 Southampton because I think they're in a relegation scrap themselves. So hopefully we can capitalize on that. But yeah, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. You lot can become a member. Make sure you guys keep rocking with the UV family. And until next week, peace.
Peace.